Welcome back, everybody. You got Will and Iman here from the Block Runner, MetaZone, and Rovi, and today we're going to be talking about BRICS and the dollar and
a little sprinkle in a little Doge.
Mexico, yeah, and how it affects crypto.
Yeah, we're trying to because we had a talk over the weekend, or maybe before the weekend. It's like, man, there's just so much happening in the macroeconomic side, and the geopolitical side.
Yeah, this is supposed to be facing down, dude.
Oh, we got the wrong guy out here,
We
dude.
did.
But it's down for the macro situation, but up
That's true.
for crypto.
Yes.
Right? So that's what we're going to get into.
Yeah.
It's just there's so much doom and gloom. We want to still somehow cover what's going on in the space, but not make it so goddamn terrifying every day.
Yeah.
You don't want to live with all this angst on your mind. Because this is the problem with we call it being red-pilled.
Yeah.
The more and more you learn and discover how the system works, the more and more
depressed.
Yeah.
Disappointed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the opposite of hope?
Despair.
Despair. The more despair that starts to creep into your psyche, and we don't want to do that to you guys. We want us to all be well informed. What's going on?
The way I look at it is we need to understand our jungle, right? There you go. If we were, 5,000 years ago we're with our tribe, we tell our tribe that there's lions out there.
That's a great point, yeah.
And it's not, you don't tell your children or your tribe, hey, everything's going to be okay.
So we do it out of love, is what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly.
If we truly love you guys, we're going to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
We're not going to sugarcoat anything and tell you the fairy tale or the tooth fairies exist and Santa Claus.
Yeah, there's no lions out there. You can go run around.
Yeah.
Fine.
Yeah, life is sunshine and rainbows.
Right.
Damn, we came right back to doom real quick.
Yeah.
There's a lot of doom. So basically no fun anymore, dude, because fun times are over. And U.S. dollar collapse, I mean, it's starting to seem more and more likely, and especially because it almost seemed like a self-fulfilling prophecy type thing.
It is.
There's too many people aware of this issue.
It's the domino effect.
Yeah.
As soon as the sanctions came in from the United States, Russia was like, okay, I'll just trade everything in yuan.
Yeah.
And then that's the first domino. It's like, okay, all of a sudden BRICS are formed. Brazil, Russia, India,
China,
and then
Saudi Arabia,
South Africa.
And South Africa, and I think they're pulling in other countries. I mean,
Mexico's they submitted their application.
It's like, we want in too, dude.
Yeah.
Brickums,
Yeah.
or Brixum all day long, dude. But I guess that's a bold move for Mexico, considering they're neighbors to the United States.
Yeah, but we've never treated them all that great either. So
true. Well, now we're gonna have a reason not to.
Yeah.
Right. So this is the thing. It's like, okay, so what happens if the whole speculation on the dollar losing its value was much more tied to the actions, I think, of the Federal Reserve.
Yes.
Clearly there's a huge banking financial fiasco going on. And traditionally, whenever things get out of hand, the Federal Reserve steps in and just shows the world how fraudulent and how much bullshit our monetary system really is, propping everything up.
Yep.
Right. But I think now that everybody's pretty much been exposed to the reality of that, people are for sure losing confidence.
See this type of content on TikTok.
Yeah, it's not just the elites that are having these conversations anymore.
My cousin who doesn't follow anything crypto, doesn't follow anything financial, nothing like that, is sending me TikTok videos about BRICS.
Yeah, exactly. Because now it's getting to a point where
that's a signal.
I think the world is losing faith and confidence in the system. And from the outside perspective, you're not going to stake your own economy's future on something that's so obviously, on its last legs, right?
But what's interesting is we're going to transition to a new world's reserve currency, but it's going to be the exact same system, just controlled by somebody else.
Yeah. Well, right now China's the main candidate.
Yeah.
Or whatever BRICS, because BRICS has their own currency apparently in the works.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's going to be digital or not. How the hell are you going to form some sort of a new reserve currency with an organization of multiple different nations? That's going to be interesting to see.
That sounds like a DAO, dude.
Something of a DAO, yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds like a very good digital thing to bring about.
Mm-hmm.
And as we know, Web3 and crypto and blockchain is being embraced much more heavily outside the United States than within. So, just so much stuff is leading into the United States is really shooting themselves in the foot here.
Yeah.
On many fronts.
Yeah. So if you ever wanted to take a look at more scary charts, we got one here.
We got one good one for you. That's what we do, is bring out the scary charts.
Yeah, so here it says U.S. banks lost nearly $400 billion in deposits in March. So biggest monthly loss in deposits in U.S. history. So we are breaking history with what's going on. So we had a podcast interview with Mitch Chavez, and I think one of the questions I asked him was like, the stuff that's happening right now, is it statistically relevant, or is it only interesting to us because it's happening right now? And like at what point, like, how do you measure what's happening now to history? He was like, no, this is a big deal. This is this is a big one.
Yeah, it's like, this isn't like something like oh, we're just getting older, so we pay attention to the news more, so things just seem, we're just becoming cranky old men.
Yeah.
It's like, no, dude. It's like, if you actually take in the context of everything that's happened, even beyond our existence, like this is huge. This is pretty rough. There's a lot of things happening, and and we have plenty of indication to signal, right?
Yeah.
Because we talk about this amongst ourselves all the time. What are those signals that we're looking for? Just like whenever the pandemic first started, we had the same question. It's like, what is the definitive signal that things have gotten out of hand? We're at a point of no return.
Yeah, that's right.
Right. And I don't know. Like, the headline of today is the yuan is now is being traded more than the dollar in the Russian oil markets. Like, is that it? Yeah. I mean, it seems like we're getting close to one of these definitive indications, but you bring up a good counter argument. It's like, well, no shit. The United States
sanctioned.
They're being sanctioned by the United States. So what else do they have to do?
Yeah.
In order for them to have their oil economy to sustain. So there's something outside of that. So the formation of BRICS, I think, is actually a little more closer of like a definitive indication, because now there's a lot of other support for this, Russia and China economic merge, from other nations. So once we start to see their markets being, I guess, depegged from the dollar, like, I think it's just one.
Yeah.
To me, that's enough.
Yeah, I totally agree. So I always get this question from people, is like, what does it mean when we lost $389 billion from deposits? So if you understand like how banks work, like typically you open a bank account, you put some money in there, and just sits there, right? It doesn't charge you anything other than like these like stupid fees that you get. Yeah. Right. That maybe you don't have enough money in your bank and they charge you fees. Right. Right. So the bank obviously needs to make money. So the way that they make money is they take all the deposits and they basically gamble with it, right? Yeah. So they buy these bonds that yield them roughly anywhere from 1% to 4%. So when they bought these bonds, they mature at a specific date in the future, right? So you have to hold on to them in order to get your principal back plus the interest that you're earning continuously. Okay. So they're holding on to these bonds that are, let's say, worth 1.5% off of billions and billions of dollars. So that's a lot of money to, kind of divvy and pay for your business, right? Yeah. So what happens is when the Federal Reserve raises interest rates, those bonds, imagine you bought a bond, it's an NFT. This NFT yields you 1.5%. Yeah. Right? You're holding this NFT. It's like all of a sudden the Federal Reserve raises interest rates. Now there's other NFTs that you could have bought that yield you 4% instead of 1.5%. And it's like, okay, well, I guess I got screwed. There's nothing I can do, right? But you can sell the NFT, right? So now there's a bank run all of a sudden. People get scared. They're like, hey, this bank is over leveraged. I'm going to take my money out just to be safe. All of a sudden, in order to pay those deposits back, they have to sell that NFT. Yeah. And then think about a market of NFTs. Yeah. Right? You have the 1.5s, you have the 3.5s, you have the 4s. The 4s are more valuable because you yield more, right? So that means the 1.5s are less valuable. So you have to sell them at a loss to cover the bank deposits. So now, because they've had to sell them at a loss, they lost $389 billion. And so obviously they don't have money in order to cover the deposits. Good old government steps in, prints out $300 billion.
Boom, everything's fine, right?
Yeah, no big deal, right?
Bank crisis averted.
Right? Yeah. However, printing $300 billion is basically stealing from the entire planet. Yeah. Right? Because of inflation.
Correct.
And the people that feel inflation is anyone who doesn't typically trade in the dollar, right? Like people in China, people in Russia. Everybody gets hit with this inflation first, and all of a sudden they're basically paying for the mistakes of these bankers. Yep. And so now now we have an incentive to form BRICS, right? Let's get off the dollar. Yeah. Let's get away from these people printing away the value, right? The world reserve currency.
So what is it you think that China, the value, I guess, behind as an alternate, system for the rest of the world to rely on, as opposed to the United States system? As far as like economic monetary policy, I'm sure there's not much of a difference, but I think the thing that differentiates them from us is like their actual like manufacturing.
Oh yeah,
like that is they actually have an economy around that. And
they produce stuff.
Exactly.
Right.
Which is the position we were in post World War II. Like the world relied on us to produce and manufacture everything. So
that's right.
I think that was the ultimate like fuck up from like a history's perspective for the United States.
There's just runaway capitalism. All of a sudden you have cheap labor outside. I was like, well, why don't we just use that labor, make more profits here?
Yeah.
And then why do we have to manufacture anything here if we can just import it?
Yeah, so it was like China's basically in a position where the United States was post World War II. Like now they could leverage this whole manufacturing machine that they have that's actually supporting a real economy, not one that's just completely inflated by, central banks.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's the situation we're in again, and the world is starting to understand that. And a couple more critical mistakes by the United States financial system might be that enough to break that camel's back and get that transition phase started.
Yeah, and I guess the thesis here is that domino has already started falling.
Yeah, and probably it probably has.
Yeah, and so
I don't think we would have seen BRICS.
Yeah, maybe not. Probably not.
Unless these world leaders didn't already see those dominoes. You know?
So what could have the United States have done? Probably in 2008, just let the banks fail. Right.
Have like a real recession, fight our way through that. Pick up the pieces, identify what are the real industries within our own country that need that are going to reinvigorate our economy, as opposed to let's just pump as much cash into this shit. That was definitely probably the actual nail in the coffin.
Yeah, and so obviously printing money is not going to solve this issue, and
not anymore.
Make it worse.
Yeah, exactly. So, hence everybody's bearish attitude on the dollar. So I mean, what that ends up resulting in, that's not the discussion. So, what do you think is actually going to happen? How does crypto factor into all of this? I mean, obviously Bitcoin, right? Because
Bitcoin is going to probably win out here, because essentially, I think Balaji said that there's really two banks, right? Either you put your money in a bank, which is basically the Federal Reserve Bank. That's the one bank that exists on the planet. Or you have Bitcoin, right? There's no other option. Yeah. So if the Federal Reserve Bank fails, then Bitcoin is just going to be extremely valuable.
Now, what about the other cryptocurrencies? We're just spitballing here, because this is based on nothing fundamental. The cryptocurrency space, and when I say cryptocurrency, I mean pure cryptocurrencies, where they were designed and built just to kind of mimic Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And the original Satoshi vision, a peer-to-peer cash system that's not dependent on any central bank. The Litecoin.
Yeah.
I remember an old one, Digibytes, Dogecoin.
Yeah.
Shiba. These are tokens that are largely just being spun up.
Bitcoin Cash.
They still need nodes, right? Validators in order to even have transactions occur, but they don't all have the same fundamental economics to them like that Bitcoin does. Bitcoin has that whole gold stock to flow ratio going for it, right?
Right.
So another one that does is Litecoin, right? Litecoin pretty much has the exact same framework, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's very similar. It's basically a fork of Bitcoin, and but I think you're right. I think there is an element to where we have a failing currency, and other competing currencies like a Bitcoin, like a Litecoin would benefit as a result.
I think so, because I don't think we're gonna see just a future where only gold or Bitcoin has the
only extremely valuable
proposition
market cap.
Yeah, something like Doge is completely just wild. I don't know. Right now, Doge is all over Twitter.
Yeah,
Elon Musk is pumping this coin for whatever reason. But
look at that.
Yeah, there he is, the good old boy right there.
Yeah.
Zoom in a little closer, dude.
Yeah, let's see.
He's the star of the show right now. There he is. So we woke up this morning, got on Twitter like we always do, and there he is, dude.
Yeah, he's staring at us.
Staring at us. I had to do a double take and ask around the room, is anybody else seeing this? Am I tripping? I don't even know, dude. But that's obviously Elon's work.
Yeah.
He owns the platform. Elon. Yeah. So, I mean, you can't really get into anything fundamental here when you're talking about cryptocurrencies.
Yeah.
It's just like a crapshoot. You never know what the zeitgeist is going to interpret as like valuable or like,
Yeah.
at any point in time. Even Bitcoin.
Yeah.
You never know when that narrative is going to take off. Now, I mean, there's tons of macro support for it, but the point is, just don't ignore all the other ones.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's it. But I kind of like Litecoin because it has a very similar. It
has a 4-year halving cycle, and I think it was started like 2 years after Bitcoin. So every time Bitcoin halves, 2 years later, Litecoin halves.
Mm-hmm.
So it has the same principles as Bitcoin.
Yeah, I think it's even like a little more efficient from its like a.
I think it is. Yeah.
Block production standpoint. Yeah. So like.
Yeah, why not?
Why not? Why not consider it as an actual digital silver as it was being marketed and advertised by its own founder, Charlie Lee, back in 2017.
Yeah.
Which I thought was a little sketch, but nonetheless, it's fallen quite significantly from the positioning that it was in back in those days.
Yeah, Litecoin, there's not a whole lot of traction around it. I mean, it still exists, right?
It does. It's still there. It's number 15. But what I'm saying though is like back in the day, this thing was always hovering top 5.
Yeah.
But of course, now the smart contract ecosystem has entered the space.
Yeah.
So the competing platforms are like dominating network share. But what I'm saying though, with this dollar collapse narrative, maybe you'll see these cryptocurrencies re-enter that top 5 space. Maybe.
Yeah, I think you might be right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a speculation. Definitely, do not buy these tokens.
Mm-mm.
It's more of like we're just trying to figure out what could happen in the future. But yeah, obviously focusing on the currency competitors that are in in the crypto space, like a Litecoin, is something to consider for sure. For like the number going up action for entertainment only.
Yeah, it's just a game, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. I mean, really, it's just like a ultimate sociology experiment from my perspective.
Yeah, that's true.
I just like to see how is humanity going to react.
Yeah.
This has never happened in our lifetimes for sure. This hasn't happened in a generation.
Years. Yeah.
Nobody's ever had to react to like all of a sudden the whole money system is shifted.
Yeah.
It's changed. Our whole reality of like how we conduct commerce and stuff. It's different.
Yeah.
So what the fuck are we going to do? I don't know, but cryptocurrency is definitely going to play a part in that. Whether or not it's like a BRICS enforced thing, or I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's our video for today. If you have any questions around BRICS or any other cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin or Litecoin, put those questions in the comment section below. And make sure you follow us on Twitter at The Block Runner, at MetaZone.io, and at Rovi AI. And we will catch you in the next video.
Peace.